Hi, Black Cat Recapped here. Today I am going to explain a mystery and thriller movie named Cape Fear. A lawyer and his family are in trouble because a person he helped in the past is angry with them. This person, Max Cady, just got out of jail after being locked up for 14 years. Meanwhile, the mom named Lee and her daughter Danny are talking about making a logo for their new business. Later, they all go to a movie, and Max is sitting in front of them, smoking and not caring that he's bothering them. After the movie, they try to pay for snacks, but someone else has already paid for them. They see that it's Max in his car. Sam, the husband and dad, is nervous and tells his family to go inside, but Max disappears quickly. The next day, Sam plays a game with his coworker Lori, and she likes him. But Sam tells her they shouldn't see each other outside of work because his wife might not like it. Lori thinks their friendship is okay. When Sam goes to his car after saying goodbye to Lori, Max takes his keys and reminds Sam that they knew each other from a long time ago, when Max was his client. Sam is surprised and eventually gets his keys back. Max says he might stay in their town, and Sam wonders if Max is following him, but Max says it's just a small town, so they might bump into each other by chance. Sam drives away. Later, at midnight, Lee wakes up and hears fireworks outside. When she looks out the window, she sees Max staring at her. She gets scared, wakes up her husband, and they both go outside to chase Max away, but he's gone. Sam later explains that Max was once his client, and he thinks Max is bothering him because he's mad about losing his case. Before Sam goes to work the next morning, he tells Lee to keep Danny indoors just in case Max does something. When he gets to work, he talks to his colleague Tom about Max, but they can't do anything because Max hasn't technically broken any laws. So, Sam gets a restraining order, but the court hearing is in 10 days. Sam then tells Tom about Max's case, where Max hurt a woman. Sam knew the woman was not entirely innocent, but he kept that information hidden because what Max did was very wrong. Tom is disappointed in Sam for hiding this. Sam was also confident that Max wouldn't find out because he couldn't read. When Sam goes home later, Max approaches him on the street and reveals that he learned to read and studied law in prison. He even represented himself to request an appeal during his sentence. Sam realizes what Max is implying and offers him money to stop bothering him. However, Max refuses, saying no amount of money can make up for the 14 years he lost in prison. Sam goes back to his office, and Lee calls him urgently to come home. When he arrives, he finds out that their dog was poisoned, and he suspects that Max is responsible. Sam quickly reports Max to the police, but they can't do much because they don't have enough proof. However, they discover that Max has a lot of money from his late mother's inheritance. Days later, while they're at a parade, Sam sees Max in the crowd, staring at his wife. Sam confronts him, and Max makes inappropriate comments about Lee. This angers Sam, and he tries to attack Max, but Max pretends to be innocent, and the crowd stops Sam. Later, Max goes to a local bar where he meets Lori, who has had too much to drink. Max tells her he's an ex-convict but claims he got arrested for defending a woman from a sheriff who was harming her. Lori believes he's a good guy and continues to flirt with him, which leads to a sexual encounter. However, to her horror, Max handcuffs her and hurts her. The next day, the police learn about the disturbing incident, and witnesses say Max was responsible. When Sam goes to work to investigate, he's shocked to find out that Lori was the victim. Sam encourages her to testify against Max because he'll likely keep committing crimes, but Lori refuses. She's afraid she'll face judgment because of her appearance and behavior, and her relationship with Sam might be exposed as well. Later, Sam talks to Lieutenant Aelgart. Sam decides to hire a private investigator named Claude Kursek to keep an eye on Max. When asked about his connection to Max, Sam admits that he was Max's lawyer when Max harmed a young woman. Kursek points out that Sam's daughter is around the same age as Max's previous victim, which worries Sam. One night, Sam contacts Lori. He apologizes for involving her in his problems, but during their conversation, Sam realizes that his wife is standing behind him. When he ends the call, Lee confronts him about his affair. She thinks Max chose Lori because she's Sam's mistress, and in her anger, she hits Sam. Danny, their daughter, sees this and locks herself in her room, crying. In another place, Kursek follows Max to a diner and finds out that Max has already paid for his meal. Kursek confronts Max and tells him to leave town, but Max is not scared at all and even threatens Kursek, warning him not to provoke him. After this, Max goes to Sam's house and gives Lee a dog collar, pretending he just found it. When Lee realizes who he is, she starts making fun of him. Despite this, Max suggests that he knows she's not happy and says things would have been different if her husband hadn't betrayed them both. Just then, Danny comes out, and as soon as Max sees her, he quickly leaves. Meanwhile, Kursek meets up with Sam and tells him that following Max could become expensive because Max is cautious and aware of being watched. That night, Danny gets a call from her new drama teacher, who claims to be checking on his list of students. He notices that she sounds troubled and encourages her to talk about it. Unbeknownst to her, this drama teacher is actually Max, and he successfully charms her. The next day, Danny goes to her drama class and meets Max. He continues to charm her by comparing her situation to the novel she's been reading. He also tells her she shouldn't be treated like a child and encourages her to read more mature books. This piques Danny's curiosity, but she soon becomes suspicious and questions Max. Max admits who he really is but pretends to be innocent about her father's accusations. Danny becomes afraid, but the man promises not to hurt her. Instead, he suggests they can be truthful with each other, something Danny finds difficult to do with her parents. By making her believe she's in control, Max gains Danny's trust and kisses her. However, Lee soon discovers something they smoked in Danny's books, which confirms to Sam that Max visited their daughter's school. Sam, wanting to protect her, tells Kursek to hire people to harm Max. Before they can do this, Sam meets Max at a diner to give him a warning, but Max doesn't seem bothered and reacts calmly. When Sam arrives home, Danny starts to worry about what her father might do. Then, she excitedly tells him that Max didn't force her into anything. But seeing her behavior, Sam starts to question his daughter intensely, which scares her. Afterward, he tries to apologize, but Danny screams at him to go away. Later on, the men hired to hurt Max go after him. Sam is watching, but to his surprise, Max overpowers the men and shows that he's in control before leaving. The next morning, Sam contacts a famous lawyer, but he finds out that Max has already hired that lawyer. Because of all this trouble, Sam asks Kursek for a gun, but Kursek warns him that he'll go to jail if he kills Max. Sam has to go to an emergency meeting in Raleigh for 2 days, and Kursek predicts that Max might break into his house while he's away. If that happens, it could be justified to harm Max. So, Sam pretends to fly to Raleigh to make Max think he's gone. But in reality, he sneaks back to his house with the help of his wife and daughter. Kursek also sets up traps in Sam's house to detect if there's an intruder. While he guards the house downstairs, Lee finds Sam reading the Bible in bed. He explains that Max told him to read the book of Job, where God tested a man's faith by taking everything from him. This made Sam curious about what Max might be thinking. Nothing unusual happens that night, but the next day, Danny finds a book outside that Max left for her. That night, one of the traps is activated, which makes Kursek more vigilant. He goes to the kitchen, but he only finds the Bowden's maid. As the man pours himself a drink, Max reveals himself, dressed as the maid. He strangles Kursek and then shoots him. The noise wakes up the couple, but by the time they go downstairs, they only find the bodies. The next day, the family leaves. Sam calls the authorities to tell them what happened the night before. He explains that he left the crime scene because his family was in danger, and he says they will only come back if Max is caught. But what they don't know is that Max has been hanging beneath their car all this time. Later, the family takes their houseboat to the middle of the Cape Fear River. That night, it starts raining as they have dinner together. Sam goes to check on the anchor outside because the boat is rocking. However, Max sneaks up on him and chokes him until he passes out. Then, the cruel man goes into the houseboat and confronts the women. He taunts Danny, so she throws boiling water on him. But it doesn't hurt Max much, and he locks the women in a cupboard while he takes advantage of Lee. When Max realizes that Lee is trying to take his gun, he stops her and handcuffs her. Then, he pulls a tied-up Sam inside so Sam has to watch what he plans to do with his family. However, Danny surprises him by pouring kerosene on him, and she sets Max on fire. Max quickly jumps into the water and grabs onto the rope connected to the anchor. Sam tries to control the boat in the raging river. But the partially burned Max gets back on board and points a gun at Sam's face. Suddenly, he aims his gun at Lee and Danny. The storm gets even stronger, causing the boat to spin and toss Max overboard. This gives the family a chance to jump into the water. But before Max can follow, he pulls Sam back inside. Sam crawls on the floor and uses Max's handcuffs to lock him to the boat. Then, the boat crashes into a big rock and gets wrecked, leaving the two men washed up on the shore. There, Sam plans to kill Max by dropping a rock on his head, but the tide pulls Max away from him. Max eventually disappears into the water,